And so we're screen recording now. So the way we're going to do it is I'm going to run this presentation. I'm going to go one slide at a time. I'm also going to make it so that you can view the whole thing, the whole slide. I'm not going to switch into slide mode for my presentations because I'm going to have to quickly kind of go between my slide and what you see on with Visual Studio. And if I do kind of presentation mode, what ends up happening is you'll be seeing my side of the presentation when it's recording, not necessarily the presentation stuff that's being broadcast. So that's why we're doing it like this. Please forgive me in advance. Okay, so we've got this a bunch of objectives for our lesson today. And again, excuse my droning voice on the video, I say it again. We're going to talk about visual program design and development. We're going to talk about object-oriented programming. Guys, I hate to do this to you, but I'm actually going to have to talk about stuff that you should know already. Object-oriented programming. Who does not know anything about object-oriented programming? Or who's not very comfortable with it? Put it that way. That's okay. Please put up your hand. Please, this is a comfortable environment. It's okay. And remember, even though I'm recording it, I'm not actually recording your hand going up, right? So it's okay, right? It's okay not to be comfortable with object-oriented programming because, again, you're in school and we're gonna hopefully show you object-oriented programming, or OOP, like some professors like to call it. I don't like it. I think it's pretty ugly. So we're going to talk about that, the term, right? The concepts of classes and objects and stuff. If you notice, when we go through C#, everything is object-oriented anyway as we go, right? And you're going to notice that. We're going to, hopefully you're going to be able to know, list and describe steps for writing a C# project. Now there might not be 3 steps, there might be more than 3 steps, but there's some 3 major steps to writing a project, right? The various files that make up a C# project. Why? Because you're packaging this stuff up for me. When you package your assignment up, you need to know which files to give me, right? So I'm going to show you that. We're going to talk about that. The elements of Visual Studio environment, what are they? Define what the difference between design time and run time and debug time are. And again, not assuming that you're developers here, you should know these terms. These are generic terms that we use in any language and any kind of environment. Right? There's usually design time when we design stuff, and run time we're actually running, something's happening, and then there's debug time if things go wrong. Right? So we'll talk about those in detail, this project and this lesson. Write, run, save, print. I'm going to put print in there, and I should put print in kind of like quotations, because who the hell prints these days, right? Right? And this is what I'm saying. This is the translation between our old VB, for 2008 and 2010 to C# for 2012. We're not going to print. I'm not going to make you print anything. Can I make you do a print preview? Yes. And this is part of our project for today. We're going to identify syntax errors, runtime errors, and logic errors. One of the major syntax errors for C# and actually C-style programming languages is, anybody? Semicolon, right? Stupid. The other thing is that C# is case sensitive, right? So please, and actually C-style languages in general, like for example, Objective-C, it's case sensitive. JavaScript, case sensitive. So please be cognizant that you could have variable names that are case sensitive that might trip you up. Okay, autocorrect to correct syntax errors. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about IntelliSense a little bit, right? And the pros and cons of it, and how come how people don't like it and they like turning it off, right? And so on, because they think they don't learn well if the program tells you what to do. We'll talk about that. Now there's some positives, negatives, opinions around that one. Look up C# topics in help. Yes, they are, and you know what? All of them are online now. Everything in help, it just redirects you to MSDN, right? All right. So let's talk about these writing Windows applications with C#. So here's some elements. This is what the GUI is going to look like when we start putting it together. Okay. So we have the window, right? Again, please bear with me. Molasses slow. Okay, we're going to molasses slow, so everyone understands it. Buttons. Okay, these are the buttons. Message box, and so on. But all these things that we have there, even though they're buttons and for example, text boxes and so on, these are all called controls, right? these controls that we're going to drag and drop onto the user interface. That's what they are, okay? Each of these controls is actually an object, okay? So we're actually dragging and dropping these objects, and we're instantiating them. We're going to talk about object instantiation later on, by dragging them and dropping them onto our Windows form. And when we do that, there's a whole slew of things that are happening in the background in Visual Studio. For example, we have a design document which describes where your control elements are being put onto the form, right? So when you drag and drop, automatically in the background, Visual Studio is creating this design document to point to where everything is. We're going to look at that. Okay. Again, windows are called forms in this particular case. If you wanted to use WPF, they're still called forms. They're just WPF forms instead of regular Windows forms. Elements are called controls, as I mentioned. And we're going to talk about where we get them, which is the toolbox. Okay? Before we get into procedural languages and programming languages in general, I think just because of the time frame, and we've talked a lot about what I'm expecting for the course, almost like course norms and all that kind of stuff, let's take a brief break. It's 10:52. I will stop recording, right? And then, so this will be part 1, and then I'll throw that up online. And then part 2, we'll record again, and then I'll throw that part up online. So you might have, when we record for this section, we might have multiple files for for videos that I'm not going to stitch them together, like I said, because that's just too much work, right? I'm just going to throw them up on YouTube, and they're available to you and everybody else. They're probably going to be monetized, not because I want to make them monetized, because I just think we should just all do that, right? So you're going to see them monetized, so excuse the commercials. All right. Otherwise, if you guys want to take 10 or 15, go get your coffee. This is the time to do it.